I guess this is kind of like Godfather 1 and 2, where it's just too close to call whether the first or the second's the better.
Imagine Charlize Theron's face being stretched over Melissa McCarthy's right ass.
I wasn't gonna go there.
Or rebut. Let me rebut for a second, okay, sir? Okay?
Your damn sweet
Let me just say, I can take you. If we do this, I will destroy you. I will take you down.
Oh, shut up.
It's gonna go down as one of the meanest episodes ever.
Netflix is coming back.
Boy, you must have the jam on.
Rudely interrupting
Rod, I'm not even gonna.
Both your picks, accidental and intentional, suck.
Fuck you. Fuck you.
I know it's not just a person, he's an idea.
I don't need my Joker waving his wand around saying Avada Kedavra.
You picked the guy who did Magic Mike.
Soon the trilogy will become
Nobody complains about Tobey Maguire.
I just said
It's like you're taking me to dinner, and you're like, all right, I'm going to take you to dinner today. And then when I ask you where we're going, instead of saying you want to buy me some filet mignon, you tell me you're going to take me to the dollar menu.
Welcome everyone to Fancast Match 3, the long-awaited end to this trilogy. Joined by me today is the great Commissioner Jack, and today, like I mentioned, folks, the trilogy will complete. Rod, Lucky Boy, Dev, and Guy, all four of them. Jack, they've gone to battle twice, two of the best episodes in the league's history. You were there for the second one. You watched the first one. How excited are you for the third?
I mean, it's taken a while, but I'm so glad it's finally happening. I mean, there's a reason why we've done these three matches that are honestly probably originally supposed to be done with different groups of people, but we've just kept coming back to the well that is these four people because, I mean, their chemistry, their ideas for who to cast, I mean, it all just works together and it makes for two previously great videos and I'm sure a soon-to-be third one.
Where else could you find Richard E. Grant being cast as Santa Claus, Shia LaBeouf as Joker, all these wacky ideas, these wacky arguments, some of the wackiest ideas we've seen in the league. And these, like you said, this foursome, we keep coming back because their chemistry, their ability to kind of try to knock each other down, try to beat each other up, virtually, of course, we are not in person for this match, is unparalleled. So why don't you say we get to them? Last episode's winner, Dev the Conqueror.
That's good. Good to be back. I don't know what I'm still doing here, though. I already claimed my title.
Lucky Boy as well.
Man, that promo got me pumped up. I forgot about how much animosity has been built up, and that just brought it all back. I'm like, all right, I LaBeouf for every answer.
Richard E. Grant for every answer. Rod, is that what we're gonna do? Nope.
What the hell, Alex? What the hell? What did I do to you, man? I haven't seen you in months. You gonna live it on me again? You gonna remind me of that? Okay, I appreciate that. Thank you. What's up, gentlemen? How y'all doing?
Good to see you, Rod.
Last member of the foursome, we have Guy Noel.
Hello.
Did that say scrawny?
I thought it just said mint. I thought it just said mince. Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to frighten you before I get all dirty when I fucking destroy all you.
All right, so as you guys are previously done, there will be 3 rounds. There'll be 1 character per round in which competitors must find an actor to portray. Competitors will argue on behalf of their casting and debate against the other competitors. The judges will then grade the competitors on a scale of 1 to 5 with 2 scores for each player per round based on the answers and arguments. The competitor with the most points at the end of the 3 rounds will win the match. And as always, answers cannot be duplicated.
Because it's the end of the trilogy and the rules have changed, we're doing 4 characters, not 3. Instead, we usually do 3 this season, but we're going to do 4 because it's the end of the trilogy. Go big or go home. As we head to the first character. Willy Wonka.
All right. I chose Adam Driver.
Rami Malek.
I went with Robert Downey Jr.
I went with Keegan-Michael Key.
I chose Adam Driver because when I first saw him on screen in the show Girls, he was kind of a creepy dude. He just like looked a little off. There was something kind of like, it wasn't super approachable, but then the more I got to know him or saw him throughout the show and then take on more roles, I saw his range and I feel like he can kind of adapt to everything, but I still can't get over that initial impression of him being kind of creepy and kind of mysterious.
So when you're talking about the character of Willy Wonka, you want somebody who is genuinely disconnected from society, but also has this magical childhood, wonder to him. And somebody like Rami Malek, we've seen him in Mr. Robot, where he's playing basically a robot, and Bohemian Rhapsody, where he's playing somebody who's cast out by society. So he has that disconnect, but also he captures that magic in Bohemian Rhapsody, as we saw. So he's somebody that I feel can capture both sides of the spectrum.
Yeah, so I chose Robert Downey Jr. for mine, and the reason why I chose that because I'm thinking about the story of like maybe an older kind of aging Willy Wonka who's looking to pass on the torch to the next person, and so I went with Robert Downey Jr. who still has a bit of that kooky side to him with things like, you see performance like Kiss Bang Bang, where he's a little iffy, right? He's a little crazy. You need that for a Willy Wonka, and I feel like if you have the story and the right director to pair with Downey, I think it will work.
Keegan Michael Key. Let me just say something. The man was in that musical show, Schmigadoon, so he can sing. I'm just saying it was a shit show, but
Wait.
You know what? Hey! Why are you laughing?
Schmigadoon.
You know what? I know I'm not going to get any points from that, but I'm going to tell you why all yours are shit.
Rebuts start now. Go
All
ahead.
right,
Dude, your answer wasn't that bad.
Let me start. Okay, Rami Malek. Let's start with him. Rami Malek looks like the kind of guy that shouldn't be allowed at playgrounds. So that's why I don't think he should be Willy Wonka.
Also, isn't that the character of Willy Wonka? If he allegedly
I can't
kills and
see
eats
Rami
children.
Malek having a chocolate factory. I can, though, imagine him having children in his basement. All right?
That's what he does. That's what Willy Wonka does.
Man is creepy looking. His eyes sink into his fucking head. All right?
You're
Okay, but he
kind of making his point for him though, because I actually
really
kind
are.
of
You really gonna cast Ben Swallow as Willy Wonka? Is that really what you're gonna do? No. That's
well,
not
I'd rather not think of him as Ben Swallow.
all I can think of when I see Adam Driver is a topless man with wearing a tunic. All right, I cannot imagine him in a top hat with a flowing purple jacket. All right,
You got to
And then-
reimagine him.
and then Robert Downey
Think outside
Jr.
the box, sir.
Hey, let me go after Rod. And then Robert Downey Jr. Okay, to be honest, that's a good choice. But the rest of them suck.
Oh.
And you know what?
This is the 3 episodes we've been waiting for.
There's just curveballs coming left and right.
So since you didn't say anything on Robert Downey Jr., let me hop in on that. I think he does capture that frantic, dissocial aspect well, and we've seen him as Tony Stark. But my question would be, how would he be any character other than Tony Stark? We've seen Willy Wonka played by Johnny Depp, and we just saw a Johnny Depp performance.
We already saw him bomb on it in Doolittle. He basically played a version of that character who is terrible, and it was like his biggest bomb post Marvel almost ever.
Hold on,
I
Lucky Boy.
forgot about
He had the top hat. He had the jet. Yeah, everyone forgot about it. It was so bad. Literally, that was his first role since Tony Stark, and it's
What are you gonna
people
say
are
now?
erasing it from their memories.
Hey, guy, you can't take back what you said earlier. You already said it. It's out there. It's public record.
No. He made Lucky Boy was right.
Let's get to Rod. Let's get to Rod.
Oh, it's my turn. Oh,
Wait, guys, can I throw in a comment about Adam Driver really quick?
Sure.
whoa! What the hell?
Let's come back to you.
I have my list, and Guy just has to throw in
I
a
thought he was
comment on
done.
everybody, So, no. To talk about Adam Driver, like, I feel like he has that disconnect insanely well, but I don't feel like he has that energy, that magic. Because we've seen amazing performances from him, like in Black Klansman, Marriage Story, and he is a very good and talented actor, but I don't feel like he brings that energy and that wonder that you need the other side of Willy Wonka.
Yet, but have you seen his range? I don't think we've seen it all completely yet, and that's the thing is having him try out something truly kind of different. I think he could pull it off.
Okay, but we saw him interacting with a kid in Marriage Story, and I feel like he was the dullest part. Like, Scarlett Johansson was the fun mom, and he is the one who's like, here, you want a carrot?
But he's playing an introverted kind of like artistic director who's not, his wife is chaotic. He balanced her out with his subtle kind of just subdued personality.
What about Ben Solo was subtle?
What about him was subtle?
That was like one of the most frantic and like outroverted.
No, that's what I'm saying. He
about
has
somebody
range. But you were saying him with children he was boring. But I'm like, yeah, he's supposed to be boring. He's the boring guy. His wife is kind of more neurotic and crazy. So every role that he takes on, he almost nails it pretty well.
But he keeps taking on the same kind of roles, and just saying that he hasn't branched out that far doesn't mean.
Let's end
I
this.
said the same thing.
Did you see him in Girls?
because I actually liked your pick there, but because you're going to pick on my man Robert Downey Jr., I'm going to go ahead and pick on your guy Rami Malek. Aside from Bohemian Rhapsody, granted, great performance. The energy you spoke of earlier, I haven't seen that from Rami Malek. I mean, Mr. Robot, okay. And No Time to Die, who we just saw him in recently, very bland. Very, very bland. Probably maybe one of the worst Bond villains in recent memory. I'm going to go to Adam Driver next. That was actually my backup choice. Lucky Boy was Adam Driver.
I'm not surprised.
So I'm not going to pick on yours too much. And then Keegan-Michael Key guy. I mean, come on. I mean, listen.
What'd you say? What'd you say? Schmageddon? Schmageddon was the reason you could see him in the role?
This guy does have. Look at things like Zodiac, Good Night, Good Luck. I mean, the guy has range. He's more than just Tony Stark. It's just so happens that Doolittle came out after his run in the MCU, and it was what it was. But we also see his relationship with kids. Look at his relationship with Tom Holland as Spider-Man. Those two had such great chemistry, a really great pairing. So take that.
So Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, he was playing Tony Stark before Tony Stark even happened.
Wrong. But
you're also forgetting that Willy Wonka kind of hates kids. He trash talks them. He throws them, puts them through the ringer. He's not good with kids. He's not supposed to
go on
be.
that point. To go on that point.
That's why Keegan-Michael Key would be perfect.
Shut God! Why are you still coming out with Keegan? No one cares, guys.
Can we just black his screen out?
We can't even argue against Keegan-Michael Key because he's not bringing any valid reasons. But also to defend Rami Malek one more time. You want to talk about being disconnected with Magical Wonder? His role in Night at the Museum is exactly that. He's playing a guy that was in a tombstone wrapped up for
everyone remembers that
centuries on end. Yeah, I do. That whole trilogy is a part of my childhood.
We remember Ben Stiller, Robin Williams, and Rami Malek. Those are the three.
Owen Wilson.
No one remembers the fucking character you're talking about. Come on.
After the judges' deliberation, the scores.
They felt more desperate than anything.
Scores are Rod at 7.3, Guy at 5, Lucky Boy at 7.5, and
out of a hill. Just you wait.
Dev at 7.8. Next character.
By the way, Dev, I thought you had the best answer too.
I'm gonna go with Jason Momoa.
David Harbour.
Carl Urban.
Taron Egerton.
So if we're talking about the character of Wolverine or Logan, we want somebody who looks like somebody that is unstoppable force, not only, from the thing that makes them invincible, but also just from being a strong figure. And Jason Momoa has already proven that with Aquaman. He is a figure that you just look at him and you are terrified. And we also know he's played the depth of the character of like Arthur Curry. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with comic book names, but I believe Aquaman, tough guy. Yeah.
Guy.
All right, David Harbour. Where do I start? I mean, come on, this guy, he's amazing. Like on Stranger Things alone, which is pretty much the only thing I've ever seen him in. Stranger Things alone. He's fantastic. He is that guy. He's a tracker. He's awesome. He's badass. He's just the perfect Wolverine. He's rough, He's not a perfect person.
Yeah, so I went with Carl Urban because when you think about the character of Wolverine, you gotta think of someone who is very damaged, has a dark past, and someone who can play it off well, but also being this brooding force. And Carl Urban has shown that numerous times, not just on The Boys, he's just fantastic in, but he was also in a very underrated comic book movie in 2012 called Dread, which is just fantastic. And then we need something like a dark sense of humor. He's got that too. You think of things like Star Trek, where he's been able to show his lighter side.
It's time.
The original character, Wolverine, in the comic books is not a big guy. He's literally like a pit bull. He's a short, compact, like very strong, like literally like a Wolverine. And Taron Egerton, when I saw him in Blackbird, that new show on Apple Plus, like that dude literally is so compact and so jacked. I could literally just envision that the beard kind of growing on him, and him, even that picture you showed right in the beginning, like that looked like Taron Egerton. He looks like he should be the Wolverine.
Oh, rebuttals?
All right, well, since I kind of feel like Lucky Boy came after my Jason Momoa argument a little bit there, I'm going to defend first. Of course, when we're talking about recasting a character, yes, there is stuff that is true to the comics, but if we're talking about Wolverine, he has been defined by what Hugh Jackman made him. Wolverine doesn't wear a white tank top. He wears that corny yellow costume in the comics. But Hugh Jackman made him an iconic character that audiences know going into, if you had some new guy come in that yellow uniform, audiences would already be turned away. They're looking for who's going to follow up in Hugh Jackman's shoes, which brings me to Carl Urban, who I think is a great choice. But my question would be more, what is he going to bring to the character that's different than what Hugh Jackman has already done? And then David Harbour, I mean, we already saw him fail with Hellboy. He's literally the guy that people make fun of in Black Widow. He's the comic relief. He's already had 2 swings and a misses.
Jason Momoa, that's not a good choice. And then
By the way, he's already Aquaman. He's already a comic book character. Taron Egerton has not been in a DC universe. He hasn't been in a Marvel universe. Momoa is already one
Marvel
thing.
characters right
Well,
now.
hold on. Technically speaking, Kingsman is comic book material. So technically, he's
But
you guys, when you were talking, yeah. Okay, don't do it. Okay.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Momoa can't even play Wolverine because there's a contractual obligation that you're not allowed to play in rival franchises such as Marvel when it comes to those DC and Marvel contracts. It's true. It's true. Come on, Netflix, listen. And then on top of that, I have to say another thing is he should not. No, he's too big.
He's huge. He's massive.
And the other thing is his personality is not like is so like in that Aquaman thing, like, oh yeah, he's like fucking Kool-Aid Man. So like I don't want to see a Kool-Aid Man Wolverine. But
we're also talking about rebooting a franchise or starting a franchise up. Why are we going with old men? Like, why are we going with old actors like David Harbour? They're like, dude, we already saw Logan. Momoa's already in his third. I'm like, if we're gonna reboot it, get a young stud, like get a new cast going and pair them around Wolverine. And Taron Egerton could carry that franchise.
That bro attitude, that bro mentality that we've seen in Aquaman or that Netflix film he did last year. I forgot the name of it. He's just got too much of that kind of cool dude personality for me to really see him being this brooding, tough force. Even in Aquaman, the more dramatic scenes, I still can't get past that whole cool guy.
It's like almost borderline hipster-ish. Like it's got like some element of that tied into it.
There's a movie that came out a few years ago called The Bad Batch, not the Star Wars show.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movie called The Bad Batch. It's in a post-apocalyptic future, and he plays this stone-cold assassin who's ignoring people, and that is probably one of the most Wolverine-esque performances I've ever seen from him. He is not the bro dude. He's not the surfer guy. He is just a stone cold killer who's minding his own business.
And no one saw it because it didn't work well for him. I see everything, and I didn't even see that.
So yeah, David Harbour. He's just too much of the butt of the joke. He's too much of a funny man, kind of comic relief kind of a guy. I don't think he could pull off the seriousness all too well with a Wolverine. And like I said with Taron Egerton, I mean, I see it. He was actually my backup choice again, lucky boy. But like I said, I think with Rocket Man and stuff like that, it's gonna take a while for me to kind of get over that because he's kind of
going to be a long time.
Persona a little bit. I want like 50 points deducted from my scores.
All right, so that's gonna do it, Jack.
So the scores now are as follows.
We have Rod at 14.6, Guy at 11.7, Lucky Boy in the lead at 15.7, and Deb at 15.5. As we head to the third and our most anticipated character, Mrs. Claus.
Oh my gosh.
Oh shit.
Viola Davis.
I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm going with Yvette Nicole Brown.
Okay.
Is she in Community?
Community, yeah.
Oh,
surely,
okay.
surely.
I don't know how to say her first name.
Rod?
Yvette, you were right.
I went with Gina Davis.
I went with Chrissy Teigen.
Oh my
lord. Dude! So I chose Viola Davis because when I picked Jeffrey Wright, who you guys all remember Jeffrey Wright, because I think last time you kind of were confused who he was from Westworld.
We know who Jeffrey Wright is.
Okay, well, they didn't last time. They kind of were confused. But when I think of the two of them paired together as Mr. and Mrs. Claus, like up in the South Hill, if they're going to completely reboot Santa Claus, I feel like that combination would be incredible.
So if we're talking about a character of Mrs. Claus, you're talking about the counterpart to one of the most powerful beings, as to quote My Big Fat Greek Wedding, the woman is the neck of the family and she can turn the head any way she wants. And if you're talking about a character that has that both firmness but also be known as the sweetest person to ever, entice Santa Claus, Yvette Nicole Brown, she has shown that in roles where, Shirley Bennett from Community, she's like the sweetest lady ever, but she can also flip like a switch. And as well as same thing with her roles in Drake and Josh. Like she's somebody who can play both sides of that spectrum.
All right, let's probably back with that one.
I went with Gina Davis. I wanted to go with someone, kind of not unknown, because Gina Davis is obviously unknown, but maybe not a common choice. And I think Gina Davis, she kind of has like that motherly instinct that comes with a Mrs. Claus. I mean, you think of something like those family films of like Stuart Little, films that I grew up on. She's got, hey, don't laugh. Like she's great in those movies. She just has this kind of the way she carries herself in all her roles. She kind of has that Mrs. Claus in her.
Claus.
There wouldn't be a Chris Vince without a Chrissy.
Go with 3 butts.
Oh my God. Dev's pick with Yvette. One, I have no idea who she is, and I feel like Mrs. Claus is such an iconic character. When I think of Viola Davis and Jeffrey Wright, or if you're going to have to pair her with like a Black Santa Claus, I don't even know who you would pair with Yvette other than Jeffrey Wright. I mean, I'm sure you'll throw a name out or something, but those two, the combination of like those two together, I just don't see Yvette even being comparable to Viola Davis.
Chrissy Teigen, Mrs. Claus, with Alfred Molina's Santa Claus.
All right.
Nobody even went after you. I don't know why you're defending.
I can't.
All right.
I'm so sorry.
Rod or Dev, get started.
All right. So to talk about Yvette, you want an actor who's not going to overpower Santa Claus. And meanwhile, I feel like Viola Davis.
This isn't Santa Claus's movie. This is Mrs. Claus's movie. She is the head in this.
This is not.
And Jeffrey Wright is her. Yeah, with Mrs. Claus.
You're talking about casting.
Yeah, because you have to cast the perfect Santa Claus, but if you want the commanding lead, the biggest name, like it's Mrs. Claus's movie. I'm assuming that's who
we're
talking
talking about the story dynamic. Mrs. Claus is not the one running and delivering presents to all the kids. Santa Claus is
she's running the house. Santa's a lazy piece of shit. We all know that.
Okay.
He just gets in his thing, delivers his thing, and Mrs. Claus is running the show. She's really like
this is
the
Mrs.
one in
Claus's
charge.
Story. We're just seeing Fences Part 2 at this point with Viola Davis.
Exactly. But happy.
That's some rough upbringing there for Mrs.
Yeah.
But all right, I'm gonna move on to Gina Davis. I don't think it's a bad choice, but if you're talking about a motherly figure, we've already seen her in Stuart Little play that, and it was kind of a very forgettable role. And if you're talking about some of her best performances, she's playing somebody who's more, upfront tough. She's a catcher on a female baseball team in a league of her own. She's Thelma and Louise. Those are more like prominently like I'm gonna beat the shit out of you type roles. And I feel like Mrs. Claus takes a more subtle and calculated approach with everything she does.
Go beat the elves' asses. My thing with Viola Davis, I mean, it depends on I think this really comes down to what story you're trying to tell with Mrs. Claus, whether it's solely a solo film with just Mrs. Claus or a pairing of Mr. and Mrs. Claus. And if you're going just solely based on a solo film of Mrs. Claus, I think Gina Davis would excel in that role. Where I feel like with Yvette Nicole Brown, she's terrific. I like her a lot in Community. It's my favorite shows of all time, and she's great in it, but she's too much of a kind of a side character. I feel like she couldn't be more of a leading presence, a leading role. And with Viola Davis, Dev kind of said it would be more of a Fences Part 2. And in a way.
Why? Why would we make a movie about Santa Claus dramatic and heavy and dark? Like, can he not play? Like,
hold on, because when you look at the
Santa Claus beat her, like what happened at the North Pole?
If we're talking about Viola Davis,
man, come on, let me rebut, okay, and then we can let
Let Rodney speak.
Yeah, that's your 2 for 2 being nice to me today. Well done, guys. But anyway, with Viola Davis, when you look at her, God damn it, guy! I just need to
Let him talk.
Don't give him a compliment.
Almost done with this round.
Don't give him a compliment.
No more compliments. When you look at Viola Davis and her filmography, it's a lot of more serious roles. We haven't really seen her really get to be more of a joyful kind of a person, which is something you need in a Mrs. Claus.
All right, Jack. That was. I'm letting the audience know that the final cut of this video is not as long as how long we were actually online. All right, so Lucky Boy at 23.1 in the lead, Dev at 22.9, Rod at 21.5, and Guy at 14.2 as we head to the final prompt. Jack, what do we gotta have every Fancast match?
Oh no!
Gotta have a doubles question, baby.
Gotta have that
two
Today, we are ending the match with Mario
Oh
and
my
Luigi.
God.
Dev.
God damn.
I'm going Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry as
interesting
in that order. Mario and Luigi.
Jonah Hill and Michael Cera.
For my Mario, I went with Oscar Isaac, and with Luigi, I went with Adrian Brody.
For Mario, I went with Danny DeVito, and that's right, motherfucker. I came today. and for Luigi, I picked Kevin Hart.
Does Mario?
Mario and Luigi, we're talking about two of the most dynamic, brotherly characters of all time. And if you're talking about somebody who's going to have really good dynamic together, we already have Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry, who are basically playing, they're cousins, but they're brother-like in the show Atlanta. And they've each proven that they can make quality performances as well as quality content on their own. So I feel like if you're really going to make something that people are going to take seriously, taking the guys from Atlanta, it's going to turn heads and people are going to be interested.
Well, it's a comic book movie and it should be a cheap comedy that's also hilarious. So I just paired Superbad, Michael Cera, and Jonah Hill, written by Seth Rogen and written by Evan Goldberg and Seth Rogen, and directed by what's his name who directed
Judd
it?
Apatow.
No. Yeah, I mean, to take like a stoner approach to like a Super Mario game, like
Kevin
90s
Smith.
version of a show.
Yeah, so I kind of went a little bit more serious with mine, but you can still be comical with an Oscar Isaac and Adrian Brody. Dev brought up something earlier about dynamic, and that's kind of a great word to describe the relationship between Mario and Luigi. And to get there, you kind of need two of the more dynamic actors. I think working today with Oscar Isaac and Adrian Brody, these two guys have shown that I see you. So anyway, damn it, I lost my train of thought. So they both have shown range that they can do a little bit more serious and do comedy at the same time.
You all don't really realize the amazing capabilities that these two have never really done this before. Think about it. Danny DeVito is Mario, Kevin Hart is Luigi, directed by Kevin Smith. It's perfect.
Oh, now you got me.
Perfect.
It's a perfect stoner comedy. It's gonna be balls to the wall. It's gonna be insane. It's gonna be fucking hilarious. Okay, it's gonna be amazing. All right, it's gonna be fantastic. You know what? Who are we gonna cast as Princess Peach? You might be wondering. Well, a Bella Dancer.
Who?
Oh my God.
Who did you say?
Oh my God.
Mia Khalifa.
Moving on to the
All right. I was on board until the Princess Peach.
Mia Khalifa.
Let's get started with the.
This is being released around Christmas, right? That's what I thought. Jesus.
Wait.
Jesus.
Tyler Perry is playing Bowser.
Oh my God.
And Woody Allen will be playing Yoshi.
I actually will show up to see that movie because what the
all right,
fuck?
rebuttals. Just someone get going.
By the way, I'm going to throw out my casting for Princess Peach, Emma Watson. Emma Watson in that movie. I don't even know where to begin with Rod's choices because I cannot picture the director or the script. I'm like, that would just be such a Star Wars, like super intense. I don't even like Oscar Isaac, kind of, but then Adrian Brody, I just can't see the world that people would actually show up to see that movie. It would ruin their careers. I can't imagine the writer director would do it.
Okay.
And even Donald Glover and Brian Tyree, I'm like, I love Atlanta, but seeing them as like in a video game movie, it's almost too subdued. Like those guys are so chill and so relaxed that I don't think they could really carry like this upbeat, like video game kind of stoner-esque movie. And I still can't picture a writer director who would actually make that like the plumbers who fall into a pipe, who enter this other world and have to do goofy shit. And I just imagine Jonah Hill and Michael Cera doing that and saving Emma Watson, who's Princess Peach. Now that said Mia Khalifa, I can't unsee the Peach. I'm sorry. I think I said Wiz Khalifa, not
You're
Mia.
saying you can't. You're saying you would only see Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry kind of create like a stoner vibe.
Craig Robinson is Bowser.
Literally, you're recasting like all of Superbad at this point.
Yeah,
That is the definition of a stoner comedy. And I also feel like they wouldn't put it too much care in.
No, that's what I want is a stoner comedy, but like an actual funny one, not like a subdued kind of surrealistic. Like those guys don't have a ton of energy on screen. They're very chill, like super chill, which I like.
Just another Pixels of some comedian trying to take on a property and just doing whatever they want. Whereas Donald Glover and Brian Tyree Henry, Donald Glover comes from a background where he puts a lot of care and he loves everything. And if you're talking about not seeing him as a plumber and being goofy, that's literally his character in Community. If you're a fan of the show,
I can see him
is a plumber, and
I could kind of see him doing it.
Okay, let me say something. All right, let's start with Rod's picks. What the fuck?
Here we go.
What kind of? I love it. The Prozac Mario movie. Nothing like it. Oh my god. You literally picked the most depressing actor in Hollywood. Adrian fucking Brody. I can now think. You know what? Now I'm thinking of the Super Mario theme song in a slow piano tone.
Like the pianist.
I'm thinking of these gray shadings.
As he comes out from underneath the bricks, just like hasn't eaten in months.
All haters.
Mario movie ever. Also
the pianist version of Mario and Luigi, directed by Roman Polanski.
Another casting in my movie on YOLO as Toad. But like seriously, Rod.
All right. Are we really?
What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Oh, wait. Who did you pick, Dev? Netflix. Who did you pick? I know it's going to be nice.
Donald Glover and Brian Tyree.
Okay, all right. Well, that's something. But Rod, let's go back to you. Jesus Christ. Do you want to scare children? Do you want to like actually give kids nightmare? You want to kill an IP. That's what you want to do. You want to kill a franchise. That is the most messed up, irredeemable casting choice I've ever.
Donald Glover, Brian Tyree Henry. The two of the biggest stoners out there, courtesy of Atlanta. We've already seen them be brothers already. Wow, I don't need to see that once again. Let's get something different. Maybe Donald Glover, but pair him up with somebody else, not Brian Tyree Henry. All that stuff. But with Michael Cera, it's going to be hard for me just not to see Michael Cera. I'm guessing he's going to be your Luigi, lucky boy. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming. So yeah, it's just going to be hard for me just to get over that whole Michael Cera persona because it is a very out there, his personality, especially with something like This Is the End, where he's just really out there. And I love it. I loved it. I love This Is the End. I love what he did.
What's Luigi's personality? What's Mario's personality?
What's Adrian Brody's personality?
They don't have personalities. We haven't defined them in anything.
I'm pretty sure Luigi would be blowing coke off of Rihanna's ass.
Dude, they're video game characters. These aren't comic book characters, so we get to define them.
Okay, but also if we're talking Luigi goes with Mario to save Princess Peach. You really think Michael Cera is going to have the courage to be like, I'm by your side no matter what?
Hey, you know what?
No, Mario goes.
Hi, Princess Peach, okay? I have a good casting.
And then lastly, with mine, before I get interrupted for our 20th time in the last 2 minutes, look at Adrian Brody, what he just did, his last film, See How They Run. His performance in that was not depressing at all. In fact, he's actually playing a buffoon in that movie.
His face is sad.
Pull off and the Luigi, and then with Oscar Isaac. Had I not seen something like a Moon Knight where he's just playing all these different personalities, but also in Star Wars, he has that sense of humor.
So you're trying to end their careers. You don't want to see them. You're trying to end their careers.
Hey. You got a Paramount right correct.
That's gonna do it. Jack scores. All right, I'll give my breakdown. That was a complete disaster on my end. This match, I don't even know what's been happening most of the time. I honestly, God, I did like guys casting it. If you actually went serious with it, but everybody went with it. Jack, I think you'd agree. Everyone went with a different movie. I feel like, some of us more than, but everybody's at the end of the day had a different vision. But yes, at the end of the day, we had a cumulative winner, and your winner of Fancast Match 3.
Yes. Oh,
Lucky Boy,
Finally! I've never won anything on League of Cinephiles.
Wait, really?
Yet, not one thing. I literally get inches close and then fall apart for whatever reason. This is the first thing I've won, and it feels fucking great.
And if you were to choose, out of all the forecastings you did, you could only choose one to make into a movie. Which one would you choose?
Oh, man. I kind of really, the Mario and Luigi one, I would actually love to see that movie.
All right. Well, Lucky Boy, good job. Great job, I should say, nonetheless, on your first W ever in the League of Cinephiles. You earned it, for sure.
Thank you.
I'm not even going to talk. I can't, because I'm going to interrupt it. So I'm just going to, you know what? Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
I really don't have much to say.
Well, Alex, I really felt like I did today. I thought I put up a pretty good fight. I'm sorry, God, I interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I have to say that.
I agree, but
look at you bandwagoning. I have to say that I love this league. It's really important to me, and these guys, these three gentlemen, are quite incredible. It is an honor to always do these Fancast matches, and I know we said that this is a trilogy, but I hope we get a fourth one. Because this is such a great time. I don't see Rod often. I don't see Lucky Boy often. I don't see Netflix often. And so, frankly, it would be really nice to just do this. I feel like what's fun about these is we make memories and we all have fun. So, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping for the same, that we can all get back together at least one more time, do a match, whether it's a fan cast or something else. I just love competing with these guys. It's a lot of fun.
All right, we said this is the end of the story, but I have a win. Lucky Boy has a win.
Jack, you heard them opening the door for a potential sequel, but I can say set in stone, the trilogy is complete. Your thoughts on the match? The trilogy as a whole, I should say.
Yeah, like I said at the beginning, there's a reason why we've had these three. They're just like inherent chemistry with each other is undeniable. And the second that they start arguing with each other, that turns on a different kind of chemistry. So, but today's match, there was a lot of really good answers and a lot of movies that I would really want to see. And I know you and I did our talking before about the which categories we should pick. And I truly think that we got the best ones that we probably could have for the match.
We're going to end it here. Final score, 30.8 to 30.6 to 28.2 to 19.6. Lucky Boy wins Fancast Match 3. If you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you're notified whenever we go live with trivia, whenever we drop Fancast matches like this. Thank you all for joining us, and as always, ciao.